All right, guys, new pickup embassy wife Katie Crouch, and I read the introduction already. It's basically like a spy type of book with the CIA and stuff like that. It came with a bookmark. It's on my Instagram where I got it from the public free library. Like the little treehouse looking ones. Birdhouse looking ones. I found another one. Here we go. This is page one. Namibia, the country planted firmly above the west side of South Africa, is mostly desert. If you live in Windhoek, the capital, as well as the only settlement that might qualify as a city, you are surrounded by brown, dry hills. Excuse me. Drive straight west, and the hills turn to scrub and then desert. All the way to the sea. Drive south, and you have scrub and sand again until you meet the towering red dunes of Susavli. I don't know what that says, guys. Sorry, you guys. I'm gonna have to figure that out one. It looks like it says Sosavli. Drive east Okavango Delta. Eventually, if you drive north, you'll find some greenery, though it takes 9 hours. And first, you must go through the giant salt pan of Etosha National Park, where if you get out of your car to take a photo or pee, there is a distinct chance that you will be eaten by a lion. This was a summary thus far of the observations. This was a summary thus far of the observations of one Amanda. Amanda was an American living in Africa with nothing to do. She knew her situation wasn't particularly unique, but she wanted to make herself useful. She'd booked an interview to manage an orphanage, but in the meantime, she took notes about the place that she supposed might be a travelogue journal memory book for her daughter. Amanda tried to keep her notes as objective as possible, though she had to admit some of her unhappiness might be seeping out onto the page. We swim every afternoon after skimming off the crust of wasps on the pool. I sneeze red dust. I pee red dust. If we leave the windows open when we come back to the white floor and walls are covered in red, red, red. It's like everything has been turned up on the contrast filter. The colors are brighter, the sun is hotter, the animals are bigger, the sky is farther away, the bugs are the size of birds, the birds the size of pterodactyls, the poor people are poorer, the rich people are richer, and everybody has a gun. Ooh. Sorry, Mother Nature. We're up to almost 3 minutes. At the moment, it was 6:45 on Tuesday morning, and Amanda, notebook in hand, was trying to figure out the Namibian expat scene as she sat in the long line of cars waiting outside the gate of the Windhoek International School. She noted that there was a distinct order to things, at least in the school queue. The children of Chinese businessmen, it seemed, led the charge, their chauffeurs having been idling outside since 6:15. The Americans were next, other than Amanda, driven by their mothers who talked to each other on their cell phones from various makes of white and silver SUVs emblazoned with red diplomatic plates. Next, the Europeans, cool and elegant in diesel Mercedes sedans and legitimately beaten up Land Rovers. The Afrikaners, or was I say Afrikaans? I see. I hope you guys can see right there. Afrikaans or Afrikaans? I'm not sure. The Afrikaans, I suppose, in Windhoek were where their own language was spoken. Yet a few did opt for an international curriculum just in case their kids wanted to roam farther than a water-starved country inhabited by just 2.4 let me see million, 2.4 million people. That was a tough one. And those forward-thinking parents rumbled up in loaded backies, excuse me, backies right before the bell. The wealthy African internationals, the Botswanans, the diamond-rich Angolans didn't line up at all. Instead, they preferred to arrive well after the bell rang, when they could convene among themselves in the parking lot beside their black shiny BMWs and late model Range Rovers. I almost said Power Rangers. I'm a stupid 90s kid. Let's see. None of these patterns were scientific, and as Amanda was always careful to say whenever she made any observations about her new continent out loud. She was no expert, but as the mother of a third grader at the Windhoek International School, this was what Amanda Evans, who must be this main character, or yeah, and she's in Namibia. Okay, cool studying. Had observed during her 9 weeks and 3 days so far in the country of Namibia. She wasn't counting necessarily, but her daughter, another character, Meg, had, oh God, that's so cool, had been marking the days off in crayon on her dog of the month calendar. Every morning, a new big purple X marked 24 more hours. Here we go. Today was February 1st. Amanda had gotten a later start than usual, so was far enough back in the line to watch the other Americans from a distance. Persephone Wilder in her gleaming forerunner had the window down. Amanda was vaguely surprised at this, as lowered windows were strictly against U.S. Embassy security rules, and Persephone, with her glossy red hair, creamy skin, and daily uniform of some iteration. I was gonna say iteration because that's what it sounded like itinerary or something. Okay, so iteration, maybe iteration. I'm sure that sounds more smart, or more like it belongs. Of white didn't seem at first glance like a rule breaker, but that was definitely her arm sticking out of the window, and even from back here, Amanda could make out Persephone's ponytail bobbing back and forth as she talked. Let's see, guys, where are we? Kayla waited behind Persephone in a silver Prado. Her windows were tinted jet black, so Amanda couldn't see her, but could she could hear Beyonce vibrating from the car. Shoshana Levin was behind Kayla, her Highlander still covered. Highlander still covered in white dust from a family trip to Sosavle. The Levins, Amanda noticed, had added a pop-up tent to their roof, an impressive investment given the fact that Shoshana's husband supposedly had only a year left on his post. Amanda's car had red plates also because of her husband's consultant position as special academic advisor to the embassy. Her car, however, was a relatively modest Subaru Outback. The Evans family had been in Namibia just 2 days when they'd purchased it, but Mark declared it the perfect car, not wanting to be like those Boer dickwad rednecks who sprang for enormous gas guzzlers. 21, so he was confident. He told Amanda that he knew how to get around. The family had gotten stuck in sand he know how to get around the country, He would know how to get around the country, but then the very next weekend on a trip to the Kalahari, the family had gotten stuck in sand 200 kilometers from the nearest farm with no cell reception. Excuse me, guys, allergies still. On another book, though, that's good, and we're just kind of taking chapters down. I'm on 11 on the other one. Which Amanda had thought as they waited for 7 hours in the desert until a Baki stopped to help them, made Mark in some ways the biggest dickwad of all. What was a dickwad anyway? Google says it's a blockage in the urethra of all, like a man, I think. Okay, well, it's almost 9 minutes. Let's see how these chapters go. I'll just keep going. I'll just post it. Well, actually, let me see. 9 minutes. Let me check real quick, y'all. I'm on page 7. So let's see how close the chapter ends. It might not be small chapters. I didn't even check the. Okay, so that's plenty.